Welcome back to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Today's episode powered by Hayabusa. It's all about a breakdown between the boxing jab versus an MMA jab. All right, in today's episode, we're talking about a boxing jab versus a jab that you want to use more in MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai. And there's a big difference, and a lot of people from the outside think a jab is a jab, right? One, we have different variations of jab, horizontal, we have vertical jabs, offline, thumb down jabs, I could up jab, right? Those are all different types and variations of jabs, but there is a big difference when you throw your jab in boxing versus MMA and kickboxing. So let's kind of break down these differences and why we would do one versus not in the other. Now, a good boxing jab, right? Now, everything in boxing is a lot about head movement and getting off center line. You hear that a lot. So a boxer who's really good isn't going to sit there and jab on a straight line, right? You'll notice every time a boxer jabs, he feints and he likes to get their head offline. So when I throw my jab in boxing, a lot of time, okay, my head goes offline when I jab. What gets my head offline and keeps me safe from being square is the bladed front foot. And this is going to be the biggest difference I'm going to talk about. Now, you'll hear the word bladed stance. So what a bladed stance means, my front foot, my heel is out. So this would be a side stance, extremely bladed. This would be more half bladed, right? My foot's on, not pointing forward, it's on a 45, okay? And then you have a straight foot, which we tend to use more in kickboxing and in MMA. Okay, so boxing jab, right? Bladed stance lets me punch offline. Now, a lot of times I like to punch with my thumb down because my shoulder protects my chin, right? Safe jab, it's nice and smooth and I can get nice, good power and stay defensive off of it. Why it's really good in boxing. Now, another thing a boxer is going to do is when they jab, right, they don't keep a very long, heavy stance. They want to be in control of their footwork. So a lot of times when you see a jab, that back foot slides with it or it's a step right in. They don't want that big, long stance because at this point, it's hard to move and hard to create. So those are the two main factors. Bladed stance, head goes offline, okay, and that's going to keep me, one, safe from the counter punches, okay, but this is where the issue, it comes in kickboxing and MMA. Now, what happens with the bladed stance? Now, my calf is going to be more exposed and my quad. So right away, this is why in kickboxing and MMA, we don't want this bladed stance. How do you block a low kick, right? The blade to block a low kick is turning your toes out the other way. So if I'm heavily bladed this way, it's too slow for me to turn my toes out and to be able to block that calf kick or the low kick. That's one of the biggest problems. Why, right? So if a boxer attacks me with this, right away I'm going to chop that calf kick, move, right? So understanding that you can hit with calf kicks. Now, I also talked about getting your head off center line. If you dip your head too far off of center line, right, we have left kicks, we have things that can catch you as you dip your head off line. So if I go to jab with a boxing jab and I don't have this tight, I'm almost could be walking into some big power left kick. So I need to be really careful of getting my head too far off center line and attacking the low kicks. Okay? Now, that's defensively. Think about it offensively. Now, in MMA and kickboxing, we like to use our legs after. So if I'm in a boxing stance here and I box jab this way, and now I want to throw my rear power kick, again, this front foot now, the bladed foot, has to pivot all the way almost 180 degrees to throw a good maximum kick. At this point, it's too slow, and the language of my legs isn't showing kick. So to be in a boxing jab and then to kick, look how hard an extra pivot I have, and to come back to a bladed stance is going to be very difficult, okay? So this is why when it comes to MMA and kickboxing, we like to jab more with our toes pointing forward. Now, when I jab this way, one, I could easily defend now because all I have to do is turn my toes 45 degrees instead of that 180 degrees. Also, when I jab this way, look, I'm already loaded my stance to be able to kick. All right, so if I'm in that boxing stance and I slide my legs like I showed you and I'm bladed, I'm not going to get a good power kick. So to get a good power kick, I have to, one, lengthen my stance, point my foot pointing forward, and now from here, I could pivot and counter very easily. Now, having a long stance in kickboxing and MMA is important because that's how you generate power for that kick. I always give the example of the bow and arrow, right? If you want to let that bow and arrow go, you need that full tension, and you release the arrow from that nice, tight, long position to get that power. Now, if I jab and bring this back foot up, it's like pulling the bow and arrow nice and long like you're going to launch it, then you go back halfway, then you let go from halfway. So you're losing out on that extra momentum and extra power. So when we kickbox here, a jab to a long stance, toe pointing forward, now I have that long whipping round kick to throw. Okay? Same thing like a pitcher. You want to throw that ball as hard as you can. You're not going to throw with a half arm. You're going to build full momentum, full rotation, full follow through, and that requires the pivot. Okay? So let me give a quick review because I know there's a lot of things and we're bouncing back and forth, okay? A boxing jab, okay, ends up having more of a bladed foot that we don't want in MMA and kickboxing. It's great in boxing because, one, I have a narrowed center line. I can easily get my head offline when I throw my punches. It's simple, it's cleaner, and I'm more defensive. Now, if I want to kick, that's a terrible stance for me to be in. One, because I'm bladed. I have to pivot more, right? I have to pivot more to block. So can't block low kicks as well. If I jab, I'm dipping my head. I could eat left kicks now at this point if I'm in trouble, and I can't kick well off of it. So it's not the best position to be in. So my question is, just because you're in kickboxing and MMA, should you not use a boxing jab? This is where the question and debate comes in, right? For me, if my jab is working and I could use a boxing jab even in kickboxing and MMA, if I may be getting hit with the right hand, I might use a boxing jab if I'm not kicking. But if I know I'm getting hit with low kicks and I know I want to kick after, I have to make that adjustment. And I think that's the beauty of understanding martial arts. There is not one way to do it, right? If I'm starting a fight, I want to narrow my center line as much as possible. So I might start a fight more in a boxing style stance. If my opponent doesn't kick my leg, why not? I might stay in a more narrow position to get hit less with boxing. But all of a sudden, say I'm here, I'm tight, I'm winning the boxing, I start eating low kicks, this is where I'll have to make the adjustment. My stance has to switch. I'm going to go more to a pointed foot. So now when I jab, look, easier to defend. Okay? I might be at risk of getting hit with other things, but I know, one, I could defend that kick, and I'm able to follow up a little bit more after that. Okay? So very important to understand that foot. Now, it's an example that I used to use. That's the first thing I would look at when I would fight somebody. I would see, one, how is their stance? Is their front foot bladed? When they jab, which my favorite timing is when someone jabs to chop the leg, right? That's what I would look at. That was my main key. Is that front foot bladed? And knowing if that front foot was bladed or not would give me a good intel if my low kick was going to be a lot more successful or I had to work to set them up a little bit more, okay? So very important to keep an eye on your own front foot as well as your opponent's, okay? Very loaded question, a lot going on here, but just remember, understanding both is your key and having the ability to adapt between the two as the fight goes on. If you're not getting hit, stay narrowed center line. If you're starting to get hit and caught, adjust your stance a little bit, go more front foot forward and start using more of an MMA kickboxing style jab so you can kick after and defend the kicks yourself. All right, hope you enjoyed today's lesson. One, support our channel by supporting our sponsors. First, we have Hayabusa by going to hayabusafite.com, linked in description below. Perfect Sports Nutrition, using code Bazooka20 gets you 20% off your supplements, all linked in the description below. Last but not least, bazookatraining.com, online curriculum taught by me, where you get brand new videos every single week. We got home videos, tutorials, sparring drills, bag work, pad work. We have everything for you to learn. Huge archive library, over 500 videos, brand new videos every single week for less than $10 a month, okay? That's crazy for all that information, all right? We'll see you next time here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Boom! Welcome to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA online training. I'm Bazooka Joe Valtellini, the owner here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Over the past year, I've designed and created a website to teach Bazooka curriculum at home and across the world. The purpose of this website is for you to, one, hit your fitness and health goals, all while learning world-class martial arts instruction from me. The beautiful thing about this website, it's geared for all levels. So if you're learning martial arts for the first time as a beginner, we help you progress into the bigger stages. And if you're a pro fighter, guess what? We have different fight concepts for you to improve your tool set and your skills in the ring or cage. As the fastest rising kickboxing world champion and a lifelong martial artist with over 30 years of experience, I've been able to combine my passion for martial arts and teaching to create this website. This website's gonna give you some of the tricks, secrets, and inside look at some of the training I use to win my world title. Once you subscribe to this site, you're gonna be getting weekly training videos and tutorials that you can do from anywhere. The sections are broken up into 3 parts. The first is bag workout. So if you have a bag at home or at your gym, you can use these workouts to supplement your training. The second is at-home workouts. A lot of us don't have the room for a bag or a bag in general, so these workouts are for no equipment needed and you can do them anywhere. And finally, the tutorial section. If you're having any problems with a specific technique or fight concept that's covered in any of the workouts, go to the tutorial section, learn the technique, and then go back to the workout, and this time, do it with proper technique. One of the added benefits once you subscribe is the forums section, where you can get a more personalized experience where you can ask questions and I'll be able to go in there and answer them. It's all about building a team and a community of martial artists helping each other grow. So subscribe now to get access to all the videos plus more so you can be part of the squad here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA.